Book 1, Law of Salimi, Chapter 56, Law of the Demise. Everything on this earth would have a specific duration of life, both in living being and inanimate object. Every human, flora, and fauna that possess life would one day give up that life. In terms of non-living object, when the item has reached the demise state, it would mean that the object would no longer be able to serve its function or became broken. My understanding of it would be that the object has reached its demise, which was part of natural cycle in both living and non-living things on this earth. If you, the reader, had chosen the life that I had lived, which utilized items until it was utterly broken and could no longer be used, you could see how long a shelf life for most products would possess, as well as determine which company would produce a long-lasting items. Most of my things that I had with me had an average life of about 10 years old, depending on its price and manufacturer. It would be clear that the most cheap item might not last as long as most expensive and high quality items. In my own life experience related to product life duration, it seemed that the present day had become much more difficult to acquire products that could last as long as 10 years old duration of shelf life. Nowadays, most manufacturers were focused on profit making, tend to choose on producing shorter life cycle because it would mean that consumers have to repeat purchase more product much more often than one with longer life cycle. Honestly, I hated this concept of business because it exemplified the practice of materialism and hedonism, which seem to be in contradictory to the teachings of Islam. Islam promotes towards developing the most benefit to the masses with the lowest possible selling price so that maximum benefit could be achieved with the lowest cost of living. In the Islamic perspective, profit maximization was never the main objective or destination because it was the exact opposite to the goals of Islam, which aimed to produce the maximum benefit to society with the lowest price in order to achieve peace, harmony, and goodness to all mankind in the universe. This concept would be in line with the concept of upholding justice and fairness as shown in the core values of anime law of hierarchy, which was indicative with being in line with the teachings of Islam, Maqasid Sharia, and possessing the true essence and spirit of Islam thesis. In my present life, it seemed that most of the items in my usage started to reach the state of demise at this very moment in my life, when I am currently unemployed with a huge debt over my life. When I spoke of this issue to a great scholar whom I would refer to as Respondent 005, she explained to me that everything that happened in my life right now was simply a test from Allah the All-Knowing. I should not be faced or fear facing hardship in my life. She also reminded me how the past prophets who had to face far worse hardship when compared to what I had faced in my life would simply make mine to be absolutely minuscule in comparison. Respondent 005 also claimed that I should be grateful in my life because everything that I had faced were not even worth to mention. As a great scholar once said, the path of a person who walks to practice Islam as a way of life is like holding a hot piece of amber, where your hand would surely burn, but you must keep on holding it. In my life, my worst experience that I had to face was not that great at all. I had to make difficult choice in my life, but it was considered as trivial in the eyes of others. However, to each was its own. because I had to face what I had to face would be hard only because it had happened to me as Allah the All-Knowing had willed it. To me, what I had to face was truly hard for me, whereas it would be very simple to others. The same goes where other difficult decisions that happen to others would be very easy from my own perspective. Thus, it would be fair that Allah the Almighty had provided each of individual the right amount of hardship, which was most suited for that particular person. In essence, the amount of hardship in all accounts could be overcome and resolved with patience and dedication. Nothing that was given to each individual would be too great or too overwhelming because it was provided by Allah the All-Knowing, specifically for that individual alone. Every challenges, difficulties, and obstacles in our every life would simply be a test of our will and our heart, whether we would behave in accordance to the teachings of Islam or not. Like the inanimate object that would reach the time of demise, I too one day would arrive at mine, where I would be accountable for everything that I had done in my life. Due to this, I must behave to my very best effort and knowledge to practice the teachings of Islam in my life, so that I would not end up in hellfire in the afterlife. So, I am doing everything that I could to become the best possible human being and Muslim, to practice moderation living and implement Islam as a way of life. That is the true reason behind my choice that I made in my life, which started as my heart started to change from bad to good at the age of 17 years old. When my life started at 17 years old, I decided to pursue the path of learning, knowledge, and sharing any acquired knowledge to the masses public, because it would meant that such practice would be a continuous deed or continuous good deeds or ibadah in the perspective of Islam. I do not wish to walk the path of a scholar to gain anything except for the hope of every second of my life from that point onward would be considered as good deeds and be accepted by Allah the Almighty. To me, teaching knowledge would meant that continuous reward would be acquired even after my demise, until the day of judgment, with the will of Allah the Merciful, when the knowledge is used for good and benefit of the masses society. The other form of continuous reward until the day of judgment would be waqaf practice and amal jariyah, where an amount of wealth was donated in the path of Islam, as it would provide continuous benefit to the masses public. In the case of those individuals who might not have any wealth to be put into wakaf practice, another form of continuous donation would be possible by giving blood donation. Clearly, every human being who had ample health could donate blood in order to provide continuous benefit to the masses society, which would be accounted as part of amal jariyah and continuous good deeds. A part of that, the third form of amal jariyah would be in the form of raising a good lineage, who practice as a good Muslim, which would be considered as continuous good deed to the masses public. In this aspect, I am currently unable to participate because I am currently not married to anyone. Therefore, I tried my best to focus my life with the other two forms of amal jariyah, so that I could hopefully, with the will of Allah the Merciful, gain continuous rewards until the day of judgment, specifically in the practice of sharing knowledge, which I hope to achieve through writing books as much as I could, inshallah, may Allah will say. With that said, when it comes to the concept of knowledge sharing, I wish to state that I would try my best to share as much knowledge as possible with the lowest price as possible, which led me to focus on writing books and share them in the form of e-books to minimize the price. In addition, I wrote in English instead of Malay language because it would be able to reach the masses public at global level. Albeit, I still need to sell them because I need to repay my debt as well as to provide some income for me to live my life, where I intended to put the rest of the income into the path of Islam. As I said before, I do not seek wealth and fame on this universe because it was not in line with the teachings of Islam, maqasid Sharia, and possessing the true essence and spirit of Islam. They say. It might not be as great as the challenges that had to be faced by other great Islamic scholars, but it would be the greatest adventure in my life journey so far. Making the choice to forego material wealth or fame at the present state of the world today would be hard, because by doing so, it made me felt that I would be deemed as an insane human being. It made myself extremely difficult to be understood by the masses public, as well as being robbed of many opportunities that would be perceived as being successful on the face of this earth. Furthermore, most of the masses public who had great wealth and power on this universe would do their best to stop my effort to share knowledge to everyone, especially when such practice would bring harm to their quest of accumulating materialistic wealth and human perceived notion of success in the present world. It would be hard when everyone around you would be driving luxury cars while I am cycling on the side of the road. It would be harsh to embrace when others were living in huge mansions which cost millions of dollars, whereas I felt that I had nothing in my possession. It would be a great misery when I would stand amongst millions of the other human beings while not feeling that I belong to any of them, which essentially making me feeling lonely amongst billions of human beings. It felt exactly as holding a hot ember which is burning my hand, that I wished to let go but simply couldn't, because I knew that I must pursue the path of Islam and truth in my life. I really wish that I could become normal and assimilate into the present society today, but I just couldn't do it, because I know deep in my heart that I am doing what I understood in the teachings of Islam and in accordance to the will of Allah the Almighty, despite the melancholy that had lingered in my very heart, mind and life. I knew that as long as Allah the All-Knowing would guide me and accept me for my deeds, I would not mind to keep on doing this for as long as I live, until the day that I too would reach the day of my demise. I really hope in my deepest depth of my heart that when I had reached my demise and I would be questioned about my life, I truly wish that I could answer. I had given my very best in my life to walk the path of Islam, to practice the teachings of Islam and the pursuit for justice, fairness, peace, harmony and goodness to all mankind in the universe. I wish for nothing in this world except for the blessings from Allah the Almighty. Hence, to Allah the Merciful, I gave my heart, my life and my death. Thus, it does not matter if I would never found love and happiness in this life, because I am gearing my life, I am gearing myself towards for the afterlife. With that, we have reached the end for chapter 56. Thank you very much for listening and hope to see you in the next video.